Hello, everyone. It's time for Swim with Jim. Have with us today is certified public accountant and financial planner Brooke Salvini of Salvini Financial Planning. And Brooke, are you there?
Yes, Jim. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing just great, and thank you for being here to give us some tax tips. Are you ready for questions?
I am ready to go, yes.
First question is, what is the best way to prepare a package either to send or take to your tax preparer?
Well, hopefully you've received an organizer in advance from your CPA or your enrolled agent. And if you're using the same preparer from last year, it might be pre-filled with information from your 2015 tax returns. So I would say the best way to get organized for your 2016 taxes is to go line by line through the organizer. And so that's the first thing to have pulled out. And then really it's all about setting aside adequate time and also just being surrounded by all of your documents, both your paper documents, and a lot of times these days we have electronic documents, so have your passwords handy so that you can, have access to everything you need, and then just walk line by line through the organizer and, start pulling all the information together.
Do you do any accounting when you're getting ready and using the organizer?
Well, absolutely. You're going to be gathering documents, but it's also going to be very helpful for your prepare if you do a summary. So, as you're gathering all of the receipts from the charities that you made donations to, you should just, add them all up and have a total. Same for medical expenses and what have you. So those kind of items, yes, you're going to want to summarize. And your tax preparer will love you because you're going to be making their job easier the more organized and summarized you are.
Well, what are the biggest items, speaking of being organized, what are the biggest items that people forget when it comes time to documenting and tracking various things in our financial lives?
Well, I think actually it's very easy to forget. We're all very busy during the year, and probably one of most people's least favorite things to do is paperwork. So having a system in place beforehand, at the beginning of the year, even if it's as simple as just one file folder in your drawer for 2017 taxes. And then as you go through the year and you're maybe spending money on a remodeling project, or you are again giving money to charity, or you have a child in college and you are paying for tuition or housing. If you just keep it in that folder, that's going to be a way to not lose track of deductions that you are fully entitled to taking. Another area that I see quite often is people don't have cost basis information on the investments in their brokerage accounts. So that's very important, because when you go to sell a mutual fund or stock, if you don't have the cost basis, you might end up paying more taxes than you really need to pay. Yes, you can find the basis, but it's going to be much quicker and it's going to save you money in paying for tax preparation if you have that information.
What happens if you can't find the cost basis because your grandfather gave you something years ago as a youngster? Does the IRS automatically think it was worth zero when you got it?
Well, I think that's where your CPA can really come in and be helpful. And there's a lot of resources these days for going back and tracking cost basis and getting very close. But if you don't want to get to the point where you have to say, "Ooh, zero, my cost basis is zero." So if you are in that situation where you've inherited stock from your grandfather, your great-grandfather, and you've had it for almost your whole life, that might be a holding that you would want to just keep and pass on to your heirs. And then at that point, it will get a step up in basis, and they wouldn't have to worry about those built-in capital gains.
Could you give it to charity?
And yes, and you could also give it to charity. Great, yes, great suggestion. And that's another great planning tool. So for individuals that are charitably minded, it's a lot more effective to give appreciated investments than to actually give cash, because all of that capital gain goes to the government. But if you give appreciated stock to a charity, they get to sell it, get the full amount, and they don't have to pay any capital gains tax. Plus, you didn't have to sell it and pay capital gains tax. So you're right, Jim, that is a great strategy.
So what are the chances of getting audited these days? Everybody kind of is worried about an audit. I know there's all sorts of red flags, but what are the chances of, just most of us who just lead normal lives, what are our chances of getting audited?
Well, really the chance of getting audited is pretty small. In 2016, as a matter of fact, the overall audits were down, I think somewhere 15–16%. So the number of audits have been going down. And I think if your income is $200,000 or less, you probably really only have a 2 to 5% chance of even being audited. But there are some situations where your chances increase. So if your income is very high, and even if it's 1 year when for whatever reason your income really shoots up, especially if it's over $1 million. So that could be a trigger. Self-employed individuals have a higher chance of being audited. But really, in general, it's a very low chance. And as I said already, the total number of audits have gone down. 2016 was the lowest number of audits in the last 10 years.
Wow. Well, if I get this IRS letter in the mail asking for more documentation, because that has happened to me, what should I do with it? What should I do about it?
Well, I think the inclination, what most people would like to do, is just like toss it in the basket and not open it, but that is completely the wrong thing to do. And those letters are becoming more common. And so you do need to open it. And if you had somebody prepare your taxes for you, call them right away and let them know you received, it's a CP 2000 letter. And you need to read it, and you need to find out what specific line item on the tax return the IRS is asking questions about. And you're going to need to gather probably additional documentation, and you're going to need to justify that particular number on your tax return. But really, unless you were not being truthful on your tax return, then you really don't have anything to worry about. For the most part, if you have the documentation and you could support your numbers, then you should be in good shape.
Well, I like numbers, but I like someone else to do it many times. So how does someone find a good tax preparer, and do they have to be a CPA?
But no, you know what? You do not have to use a CPA to prepare your tax return. Yes, CPAs are some of the most skilled, but there's also enrolled agents who have taken exams and are approved by the IRS to prepare tax returns and to represent taxpayers. So either a CPA or an enrolled agent would be a great choice. And you can find a CPA for your area either by going, there's the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, has a Find a CPA locator. Your state society would also be able to help you find a CPA. And then there's the Society of Enrolled Agents. So all of those websites have locators and can help you find somebody in your area. Sometimes your situation might require a more sophisticated approach. So you might need a tax attorney. And, most individuals don't need that, but there are, let's say you have international business dealings, or I don't know, just a much more complicated tax picture.
Say I win Powerball 300 million. Maybe I get a tax attorney, something
Yes.
to figure out what to do.
I hope you win the Powerball. I think that would be great. And yes, definitely, you would want to surround yourself with some sophisticated advisors.
Well, thank you. Any final tips or words of wisdom for our viewers?
Well, I think we should all feel confident in taking all the deductions that are legal and fair. For a while there are people who had home offices, sometimes were nervous about taking a home office deduction because they thought, oh, that was going to be an audit trigger. But that's not true. Whatever you are entitled to that is backed up by documentation, you should feel confident taking those deductions. And the word of the day is good documentation.
Well, this is part of my good documentation, Brooke. Thank you so much, because I'm broadcasting today from my home office. You hear that, IRS? I actually use this home office for seeing clients, mostly on the internet, and also talking to you viewers. Brooke, thank you so much for visiting with us today. We really appreciate your insight and tips. And for our audience, if they ever wanted to communicate with you, what's your email address?
You can find me at Brooke, Brooke, at salvinifinancial.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, so you could find me in a variety of places. And I do have a blog on my website there.
Thank you so much, everybody. You have a great day, and good luck on tax season. Bye now.